Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Manchester United have entered talks with the entourage and representatives of Raphaël Varane, seeking a £60 million transfer this summer. Manchester United have identified him, of course, as a top-class player. Many people agree with that, but they believe he is the perfect complement for Harry Maguire at the back, something Man United fans have been demanding for a while now, that they bring somebody in to get the very best out of Harry Maguire, who can be a little bit hit and miss. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. I want your views and opinions. Can this deal get done? Will this deal get done? And maybe more importantly, from a fan point of view, how much will this improve Manchester United's team? How much will this improve Manchester United's spine? I want to hear from you. I want your opinions, you, the fans, not just here of the Terrace, but football in general. Your opinions matter more to me than anybody else's. Additionally, Harry Kane has said to want a move to Manchester this summer. Either Manchester United or Manchester City are the two clubs that he has set his heart on. Paris Saint-Germain have now thrown their hat into the mix. That is the preferred choice of Tottenham. They have been very public so far in stating via their respective media sources that they do not want to sell Harry Kane to another English club. But of course, if Harry Kane wants to leave, if he hands in that transfer request and only wants to remain in the UK, it puts Tottenham in a very difficult position. It really, really does. So where do you think Harry Kane is going to end up this summer? Will he remain at Tottenham? Will he become a Man City, Man United player, or could you see him going abroad? We're going to delve into these stories in a little bit more detail this morning, but do me a big, big favor and hit that like button right now. Very important to the Terrace that you do that. Share this link across all your social media platforms, your Twitter accounts, your Facebook accounts, all your WhatsApp groups, any Discord chats you're part of. Share it now. Get more people. We just want as many opinions as possible, so get that done right about now. Morning, Twisted. Hope you are well. United spending 60 million to help out an 80 million pound player. Is that clever? Well, yes. Liverpool had to spend 75 million pounds to put a quality goalkeeper in front of a 75 million pound defender, because with two of the best fullbacks in the world at the time alongside him, because Liverpool needed that solidity. You still need top-class players. One by themselves is not enough. There are occasions where you can pick a player up for less money. So what Man United signed Nemanja Vidic for was an absolute steal, but we bought a world-class centre-back. So if you can sign a world-class centre-back at a cheaper price, go and get it done. But there's always a risk as to whether or not they'll become a top-class player. Most people agree that Raphaël Varane is already of that level, winning pedigree, and still of a decent age. So some see it as less of a risk. So yes, it is clever. It's normal. It's not even clever. It's standard. It is absolutely standard. Virgil van Dijk's the best centre-back in the world, in my opinion. Why did he look better when he went to Liverpool? Because he was surrounded by better players. Yeah. I know you know that, by the way. I know you know that. Imagine Harry. I don't know what that one says there. Oh, I love it. Thank you very much for that super chat there. Thank you. Comment here says Hands versus Food says, for me, a right winger and a CDM are a priority. A centre back is up there with a right wing and CDM first. Our defense is good enough right now. We need more chance creation. We don't need a striker ASAP. I understand where people are coming from with that. And I think what's happened, what you've got to always look at, though, is what's going on in the market. So can Man United land jadon Sancho? We know that it was highly touted that our second choice was Pedro Neto. He will now not be moving this summer after suffering a very severe knee injury that will keep him out for between 6 to 9 months. So the second option's gone. If you can't land your first and you can't land your second option, Man United fans have bleated on and cried for years that we shouldn't be signing third, fourth, fifth choices. We should wait until our first choices become available. But if the first choice isn't available, why not then strengthen elsewhere? So if you can't sign Sancho and Neto's off the table and Leeds don't want to do business with Manchester United for Raphinha, So that's our first three choices. Then what do? Not sign a Harry Kane or not sign a centre-back. You just spend no money until those players are available. You can't operate that way. So you move on to another area of the pitch that you want to tackle and you put something on the back burner. It's not as simple as Football Manager and just signing the positions that you want. There are many trials and tribulations that get in the way. If Dortmund qualify for the Champions League and sell Haaland this summer, they may not sell jadon Sancho. So what do Man United do? Not do anything? But can't and won't happen, unfortunately. Man like Indiana in the house says, as for now, a right winger is a priority. If Cavani is to leave, we have to get a striker. DM is P1 overall. Priority 1 overall. Bring Rice to the theatre. I agree with you on that. Bringing Rice into the theatre of dreams would be an amazing signing. Or Ndidi. I do think Ndidi is going to be more expensive. So I think it's going to be an easier deal to bring Declan Rice, especially with the Hesse Lingardinho situation right now. Let's do some more. We've got a super chat here. It says, Terry, I love you. I love your show. I think you mean your show, because your show as an Arsenal fan, but it's boring with Igal. He's a fake fan. Indiana, take a screenshot of that, Indiana, and send that to Igal. No, Igal's my guy. We've got some big plans in the offie in relation to that as well. Man like Stan in the house says, Terry, do you think Declan Rice will choose any other club other than Chelsea? He looks to be a proper Chelsea fan. Yes, he will. What you have to understand about football players is they are professionals first. If Chelsea want him and Chelsea make the bid and Chelsea offer him a starting berth in their team, then he'll probably pick Chelsea. But there's no guarantees that will happen. Kovacic has been excellent. Jorginho has been a revelation under Tuchel. And they've got Kante. So for him to break into that team is difficult. At Man United, there is a starting berth screaming out for Declan Rice. So that can be a huge encouragement for somebody young. But Chelsea are the front runners if they really want him because of his love for the football club. But there's no guarantees Chelsea are going to go in for him. So there's every chance Man United could pull it off. Morning, Terry from Washington, D.C. Never trusted Madrid when it comes to transfers. They always sell the dead ones. I understand that. I understand that kind of notion. But Raphaël Varane's still quite young. I just get the sense he's a bit bored at Madrid after winning so much already. Already had that super chat. Next super chat from KC this morning says, Ramos is much better than Virgil van Dijk even now. Why will Varane leave a multi-Champions League winning team? Zidane to play Oli and a club with one less Champions League than him. Look, that's a fair point, Casey. I mean, you make some that's a compelling argument in terms of, you know, a team not challenging for titles right now, a lesser manager, as it may be. Maybe he wants a different challenge. Maybe he wants to do something different with his career. Maybe he wants to try and revive a giant. What Raphaël Varane has achieved as a Real Madrid player is sensational. But if he could be one of the final pieces in the jigsaw at Man United, whether it's under Oli or the manager that replaces Oli, and he could, you know, help get United back to winning Prems here, that elevates him within the world of football. It truly, truly does. It elevates his status even further. I think it was one of the reasons that enticed Thiago to come to the Premier League and play for Liverpool. I think he wanted to be able to say, look, I won big things in Spain. I won big things, and I was integral. I was integral and won big things in Germany. I now want to go to the UK and go to England and be integral and win things there. And I still think he'll come good next season, Thiago. I really, really do. So I understand the motivations that hire behind players. Check that his man screenshot it up. My guy, Indiana. Thank you for another super sticker there from that Football 97. Man like the Red Devils down under says, I want Rice, Basuma and a first team right winger, even if it's not Sancho, better than a kick in the pants. I hear you on that one. I do hear you on that one, bro. Yeah, this is a great point here about what was Rice choose. Carragher was an Everton fan, but spent his whole career at Liverpool. Shaw is a Chelsea fan. There's no reason Rice won't choose United. Yeah, a lot of these. I remember when Man United went head-to-head with Chelsea for Luke Shaw. there was this perception that he would only pick Chelsea because he grew up a Chelsea fan. But it all depends about how it's sold, what your status is going to be, how the projects and the club are sold to you, how you feel when moving around. It was pretty much a done deal that I Am Robin was going to join Man United until he spent an afternoon with Chelsea. He spent an afternoon with Chelsea Football Club, and then he changed his mind. This is fairly normal within football to happen, whether you're a fan or not. Gabrielle here says, Terry, we should expect 3 signings max if we are being realistic. Not only that, but we have a good summer strengthening positions in the squad. We have to have, yes. So 3 signings in, as long as we don't lose anybody significant, is fine. If we lose Phil Jones, David De Gea goes, Romero leaves, and we sell Pereira and Mata, we promote a couple of youth players, the talented ones, and we would have signed Rice, we would have signed Sancho, and we got Varane, then it's an amazing summer because we just, the strength in depth has been improved. The starting 11 has been improved. The strength in depth is better. And Ollie no longer has any excuses not to be challenging for a Premier League title. It's do or die for him. If we have a bad summer, De Gea leaves, Pogba leaves, Martial leaves, and we bring in Rice and we bring in Sancho and we don't get a centre-back, it's not that the pressure's off of Ollie, but we haven't actually strengthened the squad. So we're almost in the same position going into the new season. In fact, you're probably weaker because you're losing Paul Pogba, who's the best midfielder in the Premier League. So, yeah, we need a good summer for all reasons. And I know Ollie Outers won't agree with that, but I don't really care anymore because if it was their favourite manager, they would be frustrated if the holes in the squad weren't fixed. And we shouldn't be caring about the manager. We should be focusing on our Man United Football Club strengthening the positions of the squad that need to be strengthened. That's the big question. That is the big question. We have that super chat there already. Make sure that like button is being hit, people. We're going to open up the lines now for you to come on and for you to have your say. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you're feeling and all that jazz. I'm going to type it out now. Keep saying I'm going to type this out before I go live, and you know what? I never ever do. I've shared that link now. If you want to come on to the terrace this morning, have your say. Tell us what you think. I want Newcastle to get relegated. Maybe that will happen. Sancho wants United. He's a Chelsea fan. That is also very, very true. The Sancho deal is an interesting one as well because that deal, you know, there was another sort of leak this morning in the Times saying that Sancho contemplated a move away last year. He could leave this summer if the right offer comes in. Sources suggest Dortmund would sell him for about £86 million. The Times are reporting that today. But it was a Football Terrace that 4, 5, 6 days ago told you the price range that it will be. And every time I hear one of these news stories, I reach out to, and this is a source that we do have here at the Terrace that I reach out to. If you use your brains back to some previous streams in weeks gone by, you'll know exactly who the source is because they've been on the show. And do your research on that person, you'll know who they are, who they work with, sports persons they represent. And it's believed it will be between 70 and 80 million pounds to bring Jadon Sancho into Manchester United Football Club. But Champions League qualification could change that significantly. So it's very, very important for people to realize that and stay aware of it. Do some more of the... Oh, hang on a minute. Changing the subject. The word Luther is trending. What's this about? Is it the film? Is the film being released? Oh. What's this? Oh, it's something to do with... Why is it trending? Oh. All right, I'm not getting into that then. I thought the film was being released. What is this? Wow. Mad. Anyway, I'm not going into that on the air because I don't really understand it yet. Simon Stone reported yesterday about Dortmund not needing to sell either Sancho or Haaland as they went into the COVID crisis debt-free, waiting for Man United board to come along with the same song and dance. Yeah, but Dortmund have kind of done that. Nothing's really going to change. So on that piece of news, you've seen also Man United say they're distancing themselves. Dortmund believe that's Man United just trying to create a situation where trying to create a sort of situation where they're going to publicly negotiate. Man United haven't pulled out Sancho. They're still looking at him. Nothing is going to change between now and the end of the season, or between now and we know the fate of Borussia Dortmund's Champions League qualification. So whatever you see, it's going to be what they're going to do to you with this story now is give and take. So it's going to be boost for Man United, problem for Man United, boost for Dortmund, problem for Dortmund. He wants to leave, he wants to stay. Dortmund want to sell, Dortmund don't want to go. Nobody's saying that Dortmund are in a financial crisis, and be very, very careful here. It's this, no one is saying that they've got, there's a financial crisis at Dortmund. If they don't qualify for that Champions League, that's 50 plus million pounds they're losing out on in terms of income. And more importantly than that, Jadon Sancho wants to leave. He wants to come back to England. They kept him when he was a little bit unhappy last year. If they keep him through another summer, that could cause a lot of problems within that dressing room. It really, really could. Let's do a few more comments here, and then we're going to go to some of these calls. We've got Chad waiting. We've got Josh waiting backstage as well. Terry, what is Man United's transfer budget? The players linked with would cost us more than 300 million. Well, the point is, Twisted Bubby, you're linked with multiple players because the shopping list isn't ever one or two people. So you see links with Haaland, you see links with Harry Kane. We're not signing both in the same summer. You see links with Jadon Sancho, you see links with Pedro Neto, you see links with Rafinha. We're not signing all four in this window. You see links to Jules Koundé, you see links to Raphaël Varane, you see links to Pau Torres. We're not signing all three of them in the window. So it'll be scaled down to 2 or 3 players. There is said to be £100 million budget. These things don't exist in that kind of almost arbitrary sense. There is £100 million or so to be spent on the signing of football players in terms of budget remaining. But remember, that money won't all be spent in one particular season. A lot of these deals, the money will be spread over the length of the contract the player signs at Manchester United. So if you sign Sancho for £80 million, you might find out of that £100 million sort of budget they say we've got, you're spending £30 million up front. The rest is paid over the remainder of Jadon Sancho's contract. You also have to factor in as well, that's £100 million now of revenue that we are going to put aside and allow for transfers. David De Gea is highly likely to leave this summer. There are multiple other players like Jesse Lingard that are going to go. These players will raise us funds. Plus, even if players like Juan Mata, Matic potentially, Phil Jones leave for menial sums, if not for free, you're freeing up their wages. There is no such thing as a war chest or a budget per se for transfers. There's a percentage of Manchester United's income and revenue as a business that is dedicated towards player expenses, transfers, bonuses, wages, agent fees. So you suddenly save 300, 400, 500,000 pound a week in salary. That goes into the kitty to sign new players. That's multiple millions of pounds additional a year. So funds will be raised or saved through the sale of players as well. So don't read too much into the hyperbole you see from some media outlets of £100 million war chest. We've Twisted. I don't even know why you ask these questions. You've been on this show so many times. You've seen the financial experts that have been on here. Listen to them. They know what they're talking about, and don't be dragged into net spend. It is fake. It does not exist in the way that it is presented. First caller on the show today we're going to have is going to be Man Like Safe is in the house. What you saying, Safe?
Yo, what's up, Terry?
Yeah, I'm good. What do you want to say?
Well, I don't think Man United should buy Harry Kane.
Why?
It's a waste of a player. It's a waste of money. I prefer to buy Haaland because Manchester United's style of play is direct style of play. That means that they like to build a position from the back and they like to attack teams quickly. And with Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's like Lukaku, he will slow down United's style of play. But if we buy a player like Haaland, it will fit in with our style of play because Haaland will drop from the deep, and our fullbacks and wingers, they can push forward and we can attack teams easily.
So you're telling me that Harry Kane has no pedigree of being able to drop deep and play football?
Yes, he hasn't got that.
Sorry to be rude. I'm sorry to be rude.
Hold on.
Harry Kane, hang on, eyebrows, hang on, right? Harry Kane is famed, absolutely famed.
Isn't
famed. Dropping deep and playing ball. He is regarded as one of the best ball-playing number 9s on planet Earth. What are you talking about, Safe? Prove it.
Yeah.
He's the leading assister in the Premier League this year. That's proof.
That's ridiculous because Haaland, he drops from the deep and he can take 2 or 3 players. And Mbappe,
Rolling in the
he
deep.
can take 2 or 3 players. You don't understand football tactics. I understand football tactics more than you.
Oh, okay, bruv. Okay. listen, you make me die. You make me die, eyebrows. You really, really do. You're a funny guy. Listen, man, thanks for coming on the show and having your say this morning. Man like Safe had the haircut but left the eyebrows intact. Get that trim, bro. Get that trim. We've got Indiana backstage who's going to be coming on very, very soon. Make sure you're smashing that like button this morning, people. Imagine thinking that Harry Kane can't play from deep. Imagine even contemplating that in your mind. Man like Josh is on the show. What are you saying, Josh?
If anyone is an advocate for an advert for Manscaped, it's got to be Safe, surely. those eyebrows are a sign of power. I'm jealous. I'm really jealous.
In fairness, I feel like I want to pluck some of his eyebrow hairs and use them for my transplant on my head, bruv. Man's got bare. Do you know what I mean?
We're talking. Now we're talking. Yeah.
Safe's eyebrows could cure baldness, bruv. Like they really, really could. What are you saying, bruv? What are you saying?
I just want to start with some housekeeping. Congrats on the new partnership, man. You deserve it. You put out some great content, and it's just reflective of your hard work. So congrats and all the power to you, mate, and the rest of the crew.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. In terms of these links to Raphaël Varane and Harry Kane, would you be happy with those types of signings this summer?
I would be exceptionally happy. I mean, Harry Kane would actually, well, in the event that we actually get him, the highly likely. Unlikely event, that we get him, I think he would actually suit our team a lot better than he would suit Spurs. I mean, he likes to come back and get onto the ball and feed the others into the attacking quarters, which would serve well for players, like Rashford and James or Sancho. If we get him, he can basically double up with Bruno and then give more freedom to the midfielders where they can be a little bit more expressive. So
yeah,
I'd take him, but I can't see it happening. The price tag, as much as he wants to leave, you can price him out. You can say, look, nothing less than 130 to 150 million. He could be priced out.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't know if they will. I think you lose power when a player wants to leave, and Harry Kane wants to leave. He's told, as it stands right now, he's told Tottenham, I don't want to go abroad and I want to go to Manchester. Not Man United specifically, but he wants to go and play in Manchester. I think he wants to respect Spurs to a point where he won't go to a London club. So then what are his options? Liverpool or Manchester, essentially. Like he can only play in those other two cities. And Spurs have got to be careful. They're not stupid. They know his age. They're desperate for a rebuild themselves. Why price him out of a move? And then every year that goes by, one, he's not happy, and secondly, his price dwindles. They need that money. I mean, they'll end up doing a Dortmund. They'll price him out and then sell him in 18 months' time for a lot less money, and then and still not win anything. And still not win nothing.
But their main other asset would be Son. I mean, he wouldn't fetch as much as Kane, but he's starting to get on, and he's still in that prime age where he can still fetch a decent fee. Like there is that alternative, but I mean, I can't see them doing that either. It'll either be one or both, to be honest.
Yeah, I do hear you on that, Josh. Mate, thank you very much for your call this morning. Top man, thank you for all your support on the channel, mate. Means a great deal to me. Indiana's with us now. Indiana, what you saying, mate?
Mind blowing that one.
Safe, yeah.
Madness. I do kind of agree. I don't want Harry Kane though, because I think it will blow the budget, and I think with Harry Kane, one of the big issues is the injuries he's been picking up, and do we really want to bring in a striker that we won't be able to rotate? So, he's going to play pretty much every game, right? Like he is at Spurs. It's not going to be much different for him, and he's going to be really expensive. Levy's not going to make that easy for another Premier League club. I think we could go out and get a DM first. I think that's got to be priority number one. If I would much rather we got a right winger in a Sancho, and then get a Danny Ings to cover if we can't buy a top striker. I don't want to blow the budget on a Harry Kane. The same for Haaland, but Haaland's slightly different because he's younger and he's fitter and fits the profile a bit more.
Yeah.
But there's pros and cons to Harry Kane. Harry Kane's the guy who comes deep. He can link up play. He's an incredible creator, goal scorer, captain, leader. But I do worry about blowing all of that money on a 28-year-old who's injury prone, who can't be rotated. That's a big issue for me.
I do understand it. And look, Harry Kane, I'd love him at the club. I wouldn't cry if he came, but I do think there are other positions that are far more important for us to fill. As an example, KJ the other day was saying sort of, I think he was saying this. So I get this wrong, I'll apologize to him. He was almost, no, I don't want Cavani to sign a new deal. Ideally, I'd rather spend the money on CDM, right side of attack, and centre back. Re-sign Cavani for a year and then assess where we are. Then in a year's time, we could look at the progression of Greenwood as an example, the progression of Ahmad, because you might find in a year's time, Ahmad's killing it on the right. If we landed Sancho's killing it but playing on the left, and maybe you've moved Greenwood or Rashford in centrally and they've leveled up. And you look at it and go, well, actually, we now we only need a Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins level striker because those two individuals have leveled up. I think there's an element where it's just difficult. The problem you then have, if you don't land a marquee right-sided attacker inside, but there is the opportunity to spend that money on a striker like Harry Kane or Haaland, I understand why Man United may look to do that. But if no one gets Harry Kane this summer and no one gets Haaland this summer, there's no need for us to rush either. We can wait a year. Does that make sense? It's all just, it's going to be an interesting one this year. I listened to a podcast yesterday with Laurie Whitwell where he basically said, Man United want to get all their targets done quickly. He said, but it may not be down to them because the selling clubs are going to hold on for as long as possible. There's a European Championships as well. So that's one thing for Spurs. Spurs might look at it and go, well, let's just wait until after the Euros. If Harry Kane goes to the Euros and is top goal scorer and England get to a final, which is plausible. It's plausible it can happen. That's going to elevate his price more. England. I mean, imagine England won the damn thing. What would that do?
No, we're not getting him. And that'd be the same for Sancho, by the way.
Yeah, and it's very unlikely that Man United are going to win it. And I'm not sort of making a case for England winning the Euros at this point. I'm stating that if it's a selling club, you may want to take that risk. Aston Villa will take that risk if they're looking to get rid of Jack Grealish. Let's wait until after the Euros because we know it can add £20 million to the price tag. However, there's a risk. If they go to the tournament and they flop, it helps the buying club, but it's all part and parcel of this, really. What about Raphaël Varane? What's your opinion on bringing him in? £60 million is the kind of mooted price that we're hearing across the industry. Do you think that would represent good money spent?
If it's true, yeah. I do if it's true, but we don't know whether it's true. This could be a Ramos thing. You know how Ramos comes out, his agent comes out, he wants to leave the club, and all of a sudden he's got a great new deal. I never trust players leaving Real Madrid. Never trust that. But again, I would prioritize a DM. I'd much rather we went all in for Declan Rice and went and bought a Rafinha, because for the right wing, if we can keep Cavani, that's more realistic to me. Because I think unless we can move players out, we are only buying one top target, and then it will be something like a backup right back or something like that. We're not going to buy two top targets unless we can move players on. If Cavani leaves, that changes everything. That's why they're so desperate to keep hold of him, because that does scupper the transfer plans. If Cavani leaves, you have to buy a striker because we don't have one. We don't have a natural striker. Greenwood's still.
Yeah, this is very, very true. But I think you look at who we're going to sell. I still think David De Gea could fetch a pretty penny with the length of. It's interesting. People say, why I put him on a big contract? Well, it was done for this. One of the reasons it was done is for this. It's continuity. People have got to understand the business element of football and not judge it. Oh, it's all sentimental. It isn't. You had to compensate David De Gea by paying him exorbitant amounts of money. But you now
20 mil a year, I think he's on wage-wise.
But you can now fetch a sizable fee for him in the transfer market. I still think David De Gea is at his age. You're picking up between 40 and 50 million pound for him. Lingard's form means you're getting 25 million for him. So we're looking at 65 to 75 million pounds there. There's already 100 million pounds to spend. Those two players leaving just in fees raises 75 mil plus your point. De Gea's on 20 million a year. That's only 20 million a year off the wage bill. Lingard's on 100 grand a week. That's 5 mil. So now we've suddenly raised that. We've just selling those two players raises Man United between 90 to 100 million pound of income that gives them that goes back into. So suddenly the sale of two players takes our 100 million pound pot up to 200 million pound. We've doubled. We doubled the pot with sale of two players.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea to sell De Gea this season. I think he's still got a lot to offer. We've got Henderson. I think Henderson's on like 140 a week, maybe. De Gea's on 375. We can move De Gea out. We've got a good goalkeeper coming through. It's not like we're short on goalkeepers at Man United. He can go and get a move whilst he's still in his prime, if you like. There's still, if De Gea went to PSG, he'd be killing it. He really would be killing it. He's still a great goalkeeper. But we need to. This is the problem with Man United. We need to move players on whilst they still have value in the market. And we can't keep holding on to them and giving them new contracts.
And that's the point. That's why now strike while the iron is hot with Jesse Lingard. And I'll tell you why. The irony is people moan at Man United for being sentimental and romantic in decisions, but at the same time they're like, "Oh, let's give Lingard another go." Lingard comes back within a year. I even think at West Ham he's going to level up and drop back down to a slightly less. I mean, at the moment, he's scoring and assisting at the same rates as Messi, Ronaldo's, Mbappe's, etc. He's never going to maintain this. So strike while the iron is hot, get your money. As I say, there's around £100 million of revenue that can be used for player purchases this summer. The sale of those two players almost doubles that for you. Then you've got Phil Jones's wages of 70, 80 grand a week to come back in. That's £3 or £4 more million. You could probably get rid of Matic or One Mata with the right kind of promotions from the youth academy. That might be another 5 to 10 million you save again. So suddenly you're looking at £210 million. And then then go and look at who you can sign. Because you may look at it and go, do you know what? With Pellistri and with Ahmad and maybe signing of Sancho, you might then go, and we're keeping Cavani and we're going to be moving Greenwood Central. Maybe there's the room to say, well, we can afford one more player to leave this summer for money. Yeah. And maybe that person would be like Anthony Martial. And again, you raise 60 odd million pound for him. He's earning 10 million plus a year in salary. That's another 60, 70 million. So suddenly your 100 million pound mythical pot becomes 250 to 270 million. With 270 million pound, not that you're spending it all up front, you can sign Sancho, you can sign a good CDM, and you can sign a good centre-back. And I think if you're clever with it, you'll still have change left for some, maybe let's look at that right-back position, maybe a Max Aarons or somebody to come in and cover in those areas. You can do all the things that are needed and then save some money. You could even turn around and get Sancho and Rafinha if you allow Martial to leave. It's all, there's money to be done, but you're right. Man United need to be mindful that you have to sell when players still have value. Our problem is we haven't used the loan market well enough either. Now, it hasn't worked with Pereira. He's had a torrid time, as an example. We got good money in the end for Chris Smalling because he's done well at Roma. Lingard's doing very, very well. It's just a damn shame we weren't.
There's talks of Dalot going to AC.
Dalot's going to raise money. That's why I felt sorry for like Phil Jones, because Phil Jones is still not that old. That's the irony of Phil Jones. I feel like he's 35. He's not. He's still in his mid-20s, I believe, mid to late 20s. I would love to see him get a bit of a resurgence somewhere. If we could have got him out on loan. But our problem was he was on so much bloody money. No clubs wanted to cover it. And that's where we went wrong for years at Man United. We paid ridiculous wages for underperforming players. We didn't move people out at the right times. Interestingly, like when we got rid of Di Maria, we did that right because he didn't want to be here and his value hadn't dropped. If he stayed another year and had another average season, you'd have got even less for him. You just got to remember to strike while the iron is hot, and we haven't done that enough or well enough as Man United for a while now. Chelsea fans, just to let you know, got some big Chelsea news coming up later on today. I'm just waiting for some confirmation in relation to what I've read this morning. So it's a story in the papers, but I've gone to a few people for some clarity before we go with it around your centre-back pursuit this summer. We are live at 5 p.m. today. We'll be doing a Europa League preview show in the same way we've done the Champions League as well. Tomorrow night at 5, we're previewing the big FA Cup weekend, namely Man City versus Chelsea. Just a quick word from yourself in Indiana. Big night tonight in the Champions League for Man City and for Liverpool. Who do you see qualifying out of the two?
The Dortmund City game's tougher than the Liverpool Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid definitely get through. I think you have to go with Man City. They've just got too much quality. And I'm not sure whether Sancho is completely fit, so I don't think he's going to play for Dortmund. But yeah,
Good morning, guys.
City and
Morning,
Real Madrid.
Igal.
Igal, I've got a picture for you, Igal. I'll send it to you in a minute.
Okay. Guys, I'm not gonna come and hijack the stream. I'm just gonna say this quickly. When it comes to Manchester United, do you really believe that they can get 2 deals this massive done in the same window? Because I just don't have faith in you guys pulling off 2 massive deals like this. I can see the Harry Kane deal happening, but it would have to be at a big, massive cut price. But of course, that would also be down to Levy if you'd be willing to let him go for a cheaper price.
So, bro, for me, we've done it before. So we've had summers where whether they worked or not is not the debate here. We signed Falcao and Di Maria in one window. At the time, signing Zlatan, Pogba, and Mkhitaryan was looked at as 3 big. Mkhitaryan was so rated when Man United signed him. Yeah. We did that with as a football club. A few summers ago, we managed to sign, like, Maguire was a big signing. Along with AWB, lots of clubs wanted him, £50 million signing, players were after him. These 2, I get your point, though, 2 superstars of football. Landing 2 superstars of football is going to be very, very difficult. But for me, this is a bit of an acid test for the new regime, the new negotiators, not the financial negotiators, but the player negotiators. If they're as good as Man United have told us they're going to be in rejuvenating this system, for me, this is what's, let's see the color of your money would be the expression I would use. If they are able to pull this off in a timely manner and for good prices, what you will see, Igal, is the level of confidence Man United fans have in the board and the way we operate increase immensely. That mood towards our board increasing would actually give a lot more fans more patience with the first team because we feel like we're moving in the right direction. I hear you. You make an excellent challenge. Can Man United's board and negotiators actually pull this off? Well, they've told us it's changed. They've told us it's new people that are involved. So for me, let's see the color of your money. Let's see how good you really are. And whether or not I have faith in...
Okay, let me raise it. Let me raise the bar a little bit.
Me having faith in those 2 is dependent on us changing the way we operate this summer.
Okay, you can't, though. Not this summer, because no matter what, there's going to be a World Cup and a Euros, and that's going to affect your work, and it will still drag it on. So as much as you want everything to be done early, most likely it will take longer because of the circumstances of this summer.
No, and I appreciate that, and that's normal, though. It's normal when there's a big major competition. What you'll find is there'll be a 2 or 3 week window where everyone scurries to get it done, and there'll be a point where all players say, not talking about my future, I'm here to concentrate on what I'm doing for my national team. Sometimes what you get is the national team, let's say Harry Kane's move really speeds up, or Grealish's move speeds up. You might find the national team will say, listen, Grealish, I know you've just joined the squad, but go off, get the deal done, and come back to us with a clear mind if it's ready to go. But what you said is quite normal. So I wouldn't hold that against Man United because every club's going to have their average day delay because of that.
And but finally...
Where I would look at it is this, Gal. Let's say Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Chelsea get all their business done early or very quickly before and just after the Euros, but we're still scraggling around 3 or 4 days before the end of the window. That tells me there's no change. It's about looking at what you do versus your peers as well.
It's deeper than that.
And I know you guys are big Manchester United fans and big Marcus Rashford fans, and I would say he has been your best player all season, right? But there are people who are out there who still make fun of him, still criticize him, and like to do silly comparisons. Now, today I seen a silly comparison, Terry, and this will definitely get you angry. I've seen people from the Chelsea side of things comparing him to Christian Pulisic and saying if Christian Pulisic was healthy and given the same amount of minutes as Marcus Rashford, he would be superior and would actually have better numbers than Marcus Rashford.
So, honestly, if my auntie had a pair of knackers and a panache, she'd be called me uncle. I don't think it's an outrageous claim to say a highly technically gifted football player with bags of ability, that if he could stay fit, he would be better than Rashford. It's not an outrageous claim. It doesn't trigger me. But in the reality of the world, in the not my truth, your truth, what if hypothetically he didn't have a weak body and got injured all the time? None of that exists. You know, Ledley King people used to say would have been the greatest Premier League centre-back of all time if he didn't have dodgy knees, but we'll never know. You know, this is just the way it is. If Amir Khan didn't have a glass jaw, I think he could have gone on to being Britain's greatest ever boxer. But he had a glass jaw. It just is what it is, mate. And I think it's not an outrageous claim. It doesn't trigger me. I think it's fair, but it just is what it is. Rashford will go on, in my opinion, to score more, create more, and maybe even have a longer career because he's very, very injury prone. But I rate him as a technically gifted footballer. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Listen, people are saying no one in the Chelsea fan base said that. I will give you 2 names that have said that. I've heard that directly from Monster's mouth, and I've heard that from somebody else's mouth, but I'm not going to say their name because they don't really like their name being out there like that.
No, Gal, he is a much talented. He is a much more talented player, in my opinion. I think he's Chelsea's best. I actually think he's Chelsea's best forward. If he could stay fit, he's a really talented guy. I do like him as a footballer, but the guy can't stay fit. This is a man who gets injured in the warm up for a game, so we're never going to know this.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's. I mean, Monster's claim. I don't think it's outrageous, as you can probably tell by my demeanour. I think it's a fair shout. If R9 hadn't suffered the catastrophic injuries he had in his career, I think he'd have gone on to break sort of the sort of European goal scoring records like Ronaldo has done. But he didn't, because he did get those injuries. That's just the way life is, mate. Do you know what I mean? If Roman Abramovich had bought, you could use this logic back at Chelsea fans. If Roman Abramovich hadn't bought Chelsea and bought Tottenham instead, you wouldn't even have Pulisic. Do you know what I mean? Or you may not have Pulisic because you wouldn't have gone down that path. But that's a hypothetical. In reality, Roman bought Chelsea and the rest is history. It's one of them things. They're good conversations to have. What if Man United's winning goal against Porto wasn't disallowed and Jose Mourinho didn't win the Champions League with Porto? Would Chelsea have employed him? Maybe not. Would they have then won those back-to-back titles? Don't know. But we don't know. It just is what it is. Like, you can go on all day doing. I mean, what if?
Do you guys believe in the whole Ali tax, Lampard tax? Everyone's saying, you know what, these managers are holding back the clubs. Arteta's holding back Arsenal. All these. Do you believe in that?
No, the clubs.
Arteta, yes.
the clubs are holding themselves back because the clubs have put them in power. Oli and Lampard when he was there, and Arteta now, they haven't got guns to the heads of these boards and these owners of these football clubs saying, if you sack me, your children are being held hostage. If I get sacked, they're for the chop, bro. You know what I mean? Lufa, because Lufa isn't running around London with Alice trying to find all these kidnapped kids, kids and family members of the Arsenal board that Arteta's taken hostage. Do you know what I mean? It's all these hypotheticals, they're all fine. They're all fine theories to have. But when it comes to serious debate, hypotheticals don't count. When you're comparing Rashford to Pulisic, hypotheticals don't matter because we don't live in a hypothetical world. We live in reality, and the reality is Rashford's outperforming him. I don't think Rashford is technically as good as Pulisic. I'm open to admit that. I know that's the case. But at the end of the day, would Chelsea fan rather Pulisic had 20% less ability but was fit 3 times as much? Of course they would, because you'd still get more from him. Do you know what I mean? You just would, you know. But it's the way the cookie crumbles. Good point though brought up there, mate. Listen, stream's coming to an end now because I've got some business to attend to today. We're back later on today with more. Thank you very much, by the way, for getting us over 187,000 subscribers. It means a great deal to us that we continue to grow at a rate of knots, especially ahead of a busy summer for the football terrace. I'm off to a few planning meetings today, so I can't wait to bring some new news to you very, very soon indeed. Until next time, Terry, so who's better, Bailly or Matip? Eric Bailly. That's actually a great hypothetical because they're both injured as much as each other. Eric Bailly is a better defender when fit. Eric Bailly is a prime example of this. Eric Bailly is Man United's best defender. But I know the hypothetical monsters you're talking about keep saying he's their best defender. Only theoretically. He's
a new Ledley King.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he is. He's the Premier League's new Ledley King.
Fit. He can't actually be the best. Do you get what I mean? You have to be able to play regularly to be the best. That's it. Yeah. It's the long and the short of it. Like, it doesn't matter.
This is football conversation. I don't know why people are getting so angry.
I don't know why people are. There's no need to be angry. I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying I don't. it's a debate I just don't like to have, in the sense of, what's the point? I don't get what the end result is. Your guy's got more ability than my guy, yes, but your guy's
it's like looking back at your ex-girlfriends and trying to debate, which one would give you better looking kids. You're just not going to know. Like it didn't work out. Do you know what I mean?
It's nonsensical. It's a way. I just, and it's a fair point. If someone says, "Oh, I think ability wise, Pulisic is ahead of Rashford," I'm like, yeah, cool. I don't really care about ability debates. I care about output debates, longevity debates, and then at the end of the careers, you look back and you go, outputs, longevity, trophies. Those are the three things that matter above and beyond everything else from the winning side of football. It's as simple and as straightforward as that for me. The level of intelligence shown by Terry in Indiana to answer that Pulisic question is levels. Egal, one thing for sure is Pulisic is better than Pepe.
That is actually not factually correct this season. They have played. Pepe has played 20 less.
Yeah, you see what you're doing there? You're going with facts now. I love this, Egal. Facts.
He's at least the 9th best winger in the league.
Pepe has played 20 more minutes than Pulisic and has more assists and has the same amount of assists and one more goal.
The difference is the reason Pulisic's played less minutes and game time because he's been injured. The reason Pepe has less minutes than time is because he's been benched, bruv. Yeah, that's the difference. So that's the false equivalence. You can't compare their minutes of time. Your guys missed out on minutes because he isn't good enough, where Pulisic missed out because he was injured. So a lot of those games and minutes for Pulisic.
They've only played 2 games difference.
No. You're not listening. Pulisic's missed games because he's injured. Pepe's missed games because he's been dropped. A lot of Pulisic games and minutes have been him trying to get back to being match fit. So it's a false equivalence to compare their outputs per minute, because the circumstances behind both of them not playing are not the same.
Okay, fair.
In my view. Listen, another super chat here says, really don't think Kane would go to United, as they are in a similar position to us a few years back. Top 4, sewn up, but still far away from titles. Listen, Josh, I didn't realize that was Josh. How you doing, bro? I kind of agree with that to an extent. Man United's a much bigger risk than Manchester City
or Chelsea.
Or Chelsea for Harry Kane. I still think both those clubs have got a bigger chance than Manchester.
Terry, do you know what? If Kane went to Chelsea, I would be more worried than if they signed Haaland. I really would.
That Prem proven is there, mate. No doubt. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.